To demonstrate the use of some of our shop's hand tools, I'm going to make a small wooden vase shelf with a finger jointed frame. You can see the pencil marked areas that we'll need to cut out to make this wooden joint. We'll also drill and insert a wooden dowel to strengthen the connection. But first, let's cut this to length. As with all handwork projects in the shop, it's essential to make sure that the material you're working on is fastened securely to the work surface. Working on a loose piece of material or holding it with one hand is awkward, dangerous, and inefficient. Much better to use a clamp, or even better, use 2 clamps. We'll use a Western crosscut saw with fine teeth and a long blade to cut this to length. To start, I'm going to very slowly draw the saw across the surface of the wood to make a fine kerf that will hold the blade and keep it from jogging back and forth. This is a delicate process, and to do it, I hold my thumb on the side of the blade while I draw it very lightly across the wood towards me. Once I have a kerf in the wood, I can then begin the cut. You want to push on the downstroke and draw back lightly. Be careful not to press down too hard as you near the end of the cut, because it's possible to break off the thin connection and splinter the wood. Next, we'll use a table vise to hold this in a vertical position. Slide it shut firmly, which will engage the clamp, and then you can turn the handle to tighten it in place. To make precise cuts on our penciled layout, we're going to use a Japanese pole saw. The pole saw has a cross-cutting side and a rip-cutting side. The difference is the size of the teeth. We'll use the rip-cutting side to cut into the end grain of the wood. Again, you want to start the cut by drawing the saw very lightly across the surface of the wood to create a kerf that will guide the blade. Once you've got that kerf, you can add pressure to the pull stroke of the saw. Too much pressure on the push stroke will cause the blade to bind up. Our next step is going to be to remove the center of the finger joint. I've clamped our material on top of a waste block to support the back of the cut and to protect the table. We'll do it using a flat chisel. A sharp chisel can cut easily through the wood to make a clean edge. A flat chisel has a straight side and a beveled side. And to make a straight cut, we're going to put the flat side towards the outside of our pocket and hold it vertically. Always use a wooden mallet to hit the chisel and not a hammer. Giving it a solid hit will cut through the top layer of fibers on the surface of the wood. You can then turn the chisel over with the bevel side down, which gives you more control, to chip out that layer. You can repeat the process until you've made it all the way through to the bottom of the board. Keep in mind while you're working that you never want to direct the chisel towards your body or towards a person working next to you. And when you hold the handle of the chisel, make sure that your fingers are well below the top. It's easy to hit your hand if you're not careful.